everyone. My name is Michelle Pethley. I am the owner of ShellysWreathsNMore, and I want to welcome you here to my studio. Today we're going to work on the Rustoleum, the Women at Rustoleum event, and today we're going to make the angel candlestick. Now, the angel candlestick is one of three that we're doing. You have your choice for which one you'd like to do. We have a snowman on a candlestick, we have an angel on a candlestick, and a lantern. So today, like I said, we're going to do the angel. Let me grab her and let you see what she looks like in the finished product. This is what we're going to create today. All right. Now, I'm not sure if you can see it in the other camera. I have two cameras going, and I just want to, I'll pull it back and put it down for that camera there. Now, I have two cameras so that you'll have two angles on the completion of this project. I think that that's going to help you see what I'm doing a little bit more. And I have to thank my IT husband. He is the one who puts them together for me and the recordings together so that you will be able to see both of these angles. Now let's get started. I'm going to just run through quickly what you're going to get in your kit. But actually, before I do that, let me tell you this. You're going to get a kit like this. Okay, this bag here. It has everything you need except you're going to need your own pair of scissors. You're going to need your own pair of wire clippers. Okay, and you're going to need some sort of glue. You can use a hot glue gun, which is what I have here. Now, this is my flamethrower. It's a very, very hot glue gun. It's good for some things, but when you're doing close work, the glue comes out so hot that I tend not to use it because when it burns, it burns. So in lieu of my glue gun, what I have over here, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but it is a glue pot, and it's really just a skillet, an electric skillet, 8x8. It's very small. I got it from Target. And I melt glue sticks in it. So all I do is grab a few of my glue sticks. I use Gorilla Glue. They come in sticks. You can get them at Amazon. You can get it at Hobby Lobby. You can get it at any craft store. And all I do is just cut them in half and fit them into my skillet. They'll melt. And that way when I go to prepare this arrangement, all I have to do is dip my item, my stem, my flower, whatever I'm dipping, dip it in the glue, and then stick it in my arrangement. So that's pretty much all the supplies that you're going to need to provide for this kit. Now let's get into the kit. Now this kit is going to come with several pieces of greenery. I'm going to pull them all out, show them to you, and that way when I refer to them, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we have 3 pieces of greenery. We have our angel. All right. We have the actual candlestick here. Couldn't have a candlestick arrangement without a candlestick, right? I have some ribbon, 2.5 yards of this ribbon. We're going to make a very linear bow today, and 2.5 yards is more than enough. I have a few pieces of what I'm going to call a filler flower. We have a poinsettia. And then we have a little bag in here that has a bunch of little things all put together. We have a cardinal for your finished arrangement. We're going to put him on because the angel, I don't know if you can see this, but the angel is holding a cardinal in her arm. So we're going to pair those two together. I'm going to tuck it off to the side though so it doesn't get lost. We have the foam that's going to be on the candlestick, and that's what we're going to make our arrangement in. And then I just have some zip ties for our bows. I have a skewer for the bird. That's how we're going to attach the bird to the arrangement. And then we finally have, this is called a nub. It's actually just the end of I just cut off an end of my stick here, and I use that to stick our bow in. And I'll get to all of these little things later. It'll all come together. Okay, so let's move everything aside and let's get started. first thing we're going to do is we have to prepare our base. And this is our base. Now this is a metal cap on this candlestick. It's metal because with candles you don't want anything, you want something to prevent fire. So they put a metal cap on this. This is wood itself, but this is the metal. And hot glue does not stick to metal. Now it will adhere. You know, you can put the hot glue on there and, you know, you're going to be like, Michelle, you're crazy. It's sticking. However, over time, it will loosen up. All right. So what we have is we have a little trick to avoid that loosening. Now I have here a piece of felt. Actually, I have 3 pieces of felt. All right. Felt is a magic fabric. You won't believe what this felt can do. When hot glue hits the felt, it adheres it to the metal and it holds it there forever. It's amazing. It's amazing how this works. Okay, so we're going to put felt in here. And you can see also, I just want to tell you that there's like maybe a 1/4 inch dip down here. All right, so we're going to have to cut this felt. Now, I'm just going to cut it in a couple of pieces because I'm going to build up. You'll see. I'm going to build this up so that when the felt is all glued in, your foam will, you know, fit better in there. All right. And then, so all I've done is just cut them in little squares. Now I'm going to just cut them to fit just a little bit smaller so they actually fit in there. And you'll see that 4 of these felt pieces pretty much bring that level of the candlestick right to the top. All right. So let's get started with that. Now you'll be able to see my flamethrower in action because this is where you'll see the steam coming off of this. Okay, all I'm going to do, oops, there's the warm-up drip. All right, I'm just going to put a little in the center, and I'm going to put my first felt down on top of it, kind of smush it around so that the glue is spreading out under that felt. Let's put another one on top of that. See that? See that steam coming off of this? I definitely do not want to touch that with my fingers. Okay, let's do the last 2. Same process. I'm just kind of turning the felt a little bit so that it's just not lined up evenly. You'll see it kind of is spread into a, well, you really can't see, I'm sorry about that, because it's black on black. But I'm not lining them up exactly. What I'm doing more is offsetting them. Okay, so instead of putting them like lining up, I'm just spinning it a little so that they're a little bit more coverage. And this is our last one going underneath the foam. Okay. All right, so we have that little 1/4 inch built up. All right, the next thing we're going to do is you can see that this foam is a little bit bigger than the candlestick itself. So I'm just going to take a knife and cut off the corners real quick. You can use a steak knife at home, you can use a bread knife, and all I'm doing, let me put it in the middle here so you can see it, is I'm just going down from the corner and taking out like a piece of the pie. So the top still has it, it's just the bottom is basically, I've taken a corner out of the bottom. Okay, and all I'm going around all 4. Okay, so you can see now by taking those 4 corners off, it almost makes it round. Let's see if it's going to fit in there. And there you have it. It fits right on top, all contained inside the lip of that candlestick. All right, so let's glue that in. I'm going to take and dip the bottom of this into my hot glue. Get some hot glue on it, and I'm just scraping it off. Now, if you're not using a glue skillet, of course, just use your glue gun and put glue completely around this whole thing. You cannot have too much glue at this stage. You really want this to have a lot of glue on it. Okay, this is the crucial part to hold it in there. And now we're going to just take and put pressure on it. Let me scoop this back in here. I'm just going to put pressure on it so that the glue, as the glue cools off and cures, it'll stay on that felt. All right. Now, I would have done this ahead of time for all of you. However, I wasn't sure during, transport if it would stay on there very well or not. So, without all the other things. So I also wanted to teach you start to finish on how to make a candlestick like this. Hopefully, this candlestick you're making today will inspire you to do others. You'll see how easy it is, and actually how much fun and how much reward you can get from it. So, there we have it. All right, now let's take and put the angel on. Again, we have the same issue. This angel's bottom is, I'm not sure if this is wood or resin. It kind of, when you hear it, tapping it, it's not quite sure. On the bottom, it looks like wood, but I know it's not wood because it's got some weight to it. So I'm assuming that it's some kind of resin. In any case, resin or not, we want to make sure this adheres really well to this. So we're going to do the same process. We're going to take this piece of felt. I'm going to cut it so that it fits on the bottom exactly. So I'll cut off the corners. Nobody needs to see those extra black corners. And so I'm just going to cut an oval shape. The angel's bottom is more oval. So we're just taking off the corners of the felt and creating an oval. Let's double check that it fits completely on there. I just need to take a little of this point off, and it'll be just fine. Okay, there you have it. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take and I'm going to glue the felt with my glue gun to the bottom of the angel. All right. Okay, make sure that's on really, really well. I'm just putting pressure on it. You will see that as soon as you put that glue and felt together, there's very little give in this. All right. And the last thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to take and I'm going to put hot glue on my angel's felt. But I'm not going to use my hot glue gun because my hot glue gun is so hot it will actually melt the foam. You may be wondering why I don't just put the glue right on the foam and push it in with, using my hot glue gun. The hot glue gun is way too hot. It will actually melt the foam. My skillet over here, on the other hand, is not as hot. So I'm just going to take a stick and pretty much smear the glue all over the bottom of the felt and the angel. I'm going to actually even put it on the angel bottom where the angel is not touching the felt. I just want to coat the whole bottom. Okay, you can see it there. And I'm going to turn it over, make sure that it's centered really well on the foam, and then apply pressure. Okay, you may see some glue dripping down a little bit. I just go around the bottom with a stick or something, get my glue off of there, but it's really not a problem at all. And then just apply pressure so that as it cools, it's got complete contact with everything else. Okay, I'm going to set that aside, let it cool completely, and we're going to get started on the arrangement itself. Okay, let me put this over here. Almost put it right in front of the camera. That wouldn't have been smart. This is a Lazy Susan. If you guys have one of these, it makes designing an arrangement really very easy. And I'm using it today solely to show you and spin around the arrangement as I make it. I think it makes it a little easier to see all the things that I'm doing. Okay, so these two pieces I'm going to refer to as my greenery. And these two pieces here are my frosted greenery. Okay, we're going to start with our greenery. Sorry about the noise. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this piece. Look at how it's all compact. Watch how big this piece is. I'm going to take and open up all the different layers of this piece. Okay. See all of these different layers? All right. I mean, we have it all on this. We have cedar, we have regular pine, we have eucalyptus, we have berries, we have twigs. This is a wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so we have all of these pieces, and all I'm going to do is take my wire cutters, and this is what I consider the main stem, this big one. First, let me remind you, take your wire cutters and cut off this bottom. This little piece we're going to save. We may need it later. If not, we'll throw it away. But if you throw it away too early, you won't have it. Okay, so let's take and cut all of these pieces off of the main stem. All right, just take your wire cutters, be patient, cut them off. All right, then we're going to separate them. We're going to sort them so that we have everything, basically all of the greens categorized. All right, there we go. There's a stem we don't need. We'll throw that away. And now we're just going to separate each of these pieces out according to what they are. We have flat leaf eucalyptus. We have berries. Let's put the berries together. And all we're doing is sorting these so that we know exactly how many pieces of each of these we have. Excuse me. I have twigs. Do you see these twigs? Okay. Never quite sure how easy you can see it on the camera. Okay. We have cedar. We have mystery green. We're going to call it mystery green because I can't think at the moment what that is. And then when you have a piece like this that are three of them, you know, like three of these pieces together, you may not need to separate them if you have other pieces like that. You know, when you cut them off, you don't know how it comes apart. But in the case of that, if it's not sticking together, I'm just going to separate them so that each one is categorized by itself, okay? And I'll show you why we're doing this. I'm not just a old lady who wants to categorize everything. I am going to break this up. We're going to stick that into the flower arrangement, but we need to know how many of each one we have so that you can spread them throughout. There we go. Throughout, and you don't have big clumps of the same greenery right next to each other. And these three, nope. Oh, that one there. This is the eucalyptus, okay. And you see how all I'm doing is just separating them out. They're all, this pick is called a hand wrap pick, and it actually is, this greenery is wrapped into itself with tape. So that's all I'm doing is separating each of the pieces. Okay, this is our last one. All right, so if we go through everything, you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the cedar or cypress. Actually, I'm not sure. I think it's cedar. We're going to go with cedar today. Here's our mystery green. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these as well. Okay. We have 3 twigs. I'm going to tell you the twigs and our berries we're going to put over to the side. They're going to go in last. They're going to be our finishing work. We have 2 of these flat leaf, well, actually 3 of the flat leaf eucalyptus. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the regular eucalyptus. Okay, so let's bring our angel back. She's pretty well established. Okay. Now I'm going to start, doesn't matter with anyone, I'm going to start with the cedar/cypress. I know you're going to wish I would know this, but I'm pretty sure it's cedar. Anyway, This is the one that takes up the most space. You can see, compare them. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. This one had 6, remember? So I'm going to start spacing this around my angel. And I'm going to go in a pattern of high and low. I'm going to put the first one low in the foam. As I spin it, I'm going to put the next one high in the foam. Low, high, going all the way through, because this will give your arrangement dimension. So I'm not sure if you're seeing what I'm doing on screen, but I'm just taking and dipping it in my glue pot, and I'm going to start with the first one, and I'm going to put it low in the foam, kind of bend it downward. Okay, see how that is? It's low in the foam, and it's kind of bending down. We need our greenery to kind of go down as well as up. So the next one is going to go high in the foam. I just cut off a little of the stem. We don't need it. The next one is going to go high. Just remember, we have 6 of them, so you kind of have to spread them around. Okay, so you see how that looks a little wonky right now, but wait till you see how it turns out. Okay, so let's continue this pattern, high, low, with all 6 of these cedars. Okay, all we're doing. You don't need a real long stem to stick into this foam. Okay, I have 2 left. And all I'm doing before I stick it in is kind of spreading it out, fluffing it up, bending it so that it has shape and texture. I'm going to go low in the foam with this one. And my last piece is going to go high in the foam. I'm going to give it a little bend upwards. And there we have it. Okay? So you can see it all around. Okay? Now it's very scattered looking. The next one we're going to do is our mystery. Ooh. It's going to be our mystery greenery. Going to do the same process, but guess what? We're going to go where we've gone high in the foam. We're going to go low in the foam with the next one. All right, so we're alternating high-low as well as changing out the greenery. So this one is going to go lower. I'm going to angle it down a little bit. I'm going to stay with the same greenery. I'm going to continue with the same pattern, high-low, and we're just going to put these into the spots that are created from the first one. You know, the vacancies from the first greenery we put in. We're just filling in with the other one. Now, if you're using a glue gun, you're going to have to just put glue on the tip of these pieces of greenery. Be very careful when you stick it in, because that glue it'll get you. That's why I use the skillet. It's just a little easier for me to keep. Don't kid yourself, I do burn myself. Every once in a while I'm not paying attention and it just gets me too, but my dexterity is such that the dipping is much easier for me to use. Okay, our last piece, I'm going to go high with it. Okay, you can kind of see how we're using all of this greenery to do the same thing. We're going to do the same thing with the next one. The eucalyptus has 6. Again, we're just going to go and start and fill in the holes that we have in our foam. Okay, and when you push it in, you want to hear that crackle of the foam. I'll stop talking and you'll be able to hear this next one, so that you know it's in the foam. Okay. Hope you heard that little crunch as it went in. Again, we have 6 of them. I counted ahead of time, so I'm just kind of spreading them around, filling in areas that don't have greenery. And I'm trying to put a little bend on them. Some go up, some go down. There's really no right or wrong. It's just a method that I'm teaching. And some of them have little weak stems, so you have to get closer. Oh, I just burned myself, see? It just nabbed me. Doesn't hurt that much though. Okay, it's just kind of a shocker, you know, just gives you a little wake-up call. Oops. All right. And this is my last one of the eucalyptus. I have a spot back here. So you can see from that very first pick, look at what we've done with it. Pretty amazing, I think, given that pick didn't really look like anything. I mean, there was a lot to it, but it wasn't as substantial looking as what it is when you spread it out like this. Okay, now we have 3 of these. These are called flat leaf eucalyptus, and I'm going to make sure my front, I'm going to take the longest one. This is my longest one, and I want this one in the front. Of course, this is our all-around arrangement, but we do want to favor the front with the pretties, okay? So you can see I just put this one in. Since I have 3, I kind of have to go here, here, and here. So I'm going to take the next one. There's a spot down low over here. And it fills it in. And then this is my last one, and I'm going to put it over here in the back. And when you bend these, you know, just, it's giving it your arrangement dimension, which you'll hear me say a lot. I talk about dimension a lot, but that's what really makes it look more realistic, more natural. Okay, so that is our very first greenery, 1 stem. What I'm pulling away are the glue threads, that's all. You probably don't see them on camera, but when you're working with hot glue, you'll know what I mean. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take that other greenery, the other green greenery. No, actually, I'm not. I remember when I made the prototype, I had to change that up. So we're going to use the 2 frosted. Okay, now I'm going to show you. This frosted has actually, if you separate it, I'm showing you the back, you can see the stem. There's 3 places you can cut. Okay, because we're going to make 3 picks out of this. Let me move Angelica here. There's 3 spots to cut on this back, and you'll see it better if you turn your pick over, okay? So we're going to cut the stem right here. Okay, that gives us a top piece. All right. And it gives us a long stem to use. Now, this next piece, you'll see that we have basically another cutting area. If you separate these out, and you'll have 2, this is the bottom end of the stem, okay? You'll see that there's 2 branches, and then there's a longer stem, and then 2 branches. So we're going to cut right at this point, okay, which is just above the second from the bottom branch, okay? That's going to give us another pick with a long stem to put it in. And finally, we're just going to cut off this long stem like that. We don't need this. But you can see now that we have 6 pieces of our frosted greenery. Okay, that one pick yielded 3. So we're going to do the same thing with the second one. We're going to start on the back, and we're going to run our hands down towards, from the top to the bottom, and cut it right at that V where that long stem ends. Okay, that gives us our top. Let's put it in the top pile. Yeah. All right. And then we're going to look And we're going from the back end, from the bottom end of the stem. We're going to count up 2 branches on the back. There's 1 Y, there's 2, and we're going to cut right above that second one from the bottom. That's going to give us another pick, and then our last pick is just going to be trimmed up. We're going to cut off the long stem, and so now we have 6 pieces from those 2, and each one has enough filler and texture. I mean, they're substantial little picks that we can put in, okay? So let's bring Angelica back, and we're going to start with the tops. Remember, this was the top. It had the long stem. I'm going to put this one in the front. I'm going to go into the middle range of the foam and tuck it in. And look what it does. I mean, it really fills up that hole. You see that? Okay, so let's take the second topper, okay, and we're going to go directly across in the arrangement from that one. We're going to dip in the glue, and we're going to put that one in. So it's just going crosswise. We're not really spinning, we're just going cross. And it doesn't have to be exact, but what we're doing is we're just spreading these specific shapes throughout. All right, that's all we're trying to do, is make sure that they're spread throughout. This is the one, the pick that was in the middle. It only has the 1 branch, the 1 Y on it. I'm going to go into the front. I'm going to lift up some of my greenery. I'm going to go lower with this one, okay? I'm going to go across the arrangement to the back, and I'm going to put the next one in. It's the brother of that one. It's the same pick. It's the middle 2 from the 2 stems, and we're going to push that in. Okay, we're going to hear it and kind of mix it in with the other greenery. Okay, do you see how that's all filling out? All right, now we have our last 2 pieces. This was the bottom of the pick, because we cut where there were 2 Ys, okay? Now this one, we're just going to pick a spot as you go around. If you look around your arrangement, pick a spot that needs filling. All right, tuck it in. Make sure that it's all the other ones around it kind of spread throughout it. Bring it in. And then we're just going to go right across from that one and put our last piece of frosted in. This is our last piece. We're going to just kind of separate out the previous greenery, find that foam, and tuck it in. Now you'll see that we have layers of greenery going around. We have different greenery. We have that spark of frost mingling with all this greenery spread out throughout our whole arrangement. All right, now our last greenery is this piece here. This is the piece that we have, we're going to be using. And we're going to do the same thing that we did with the very first greenery. We're going to open up all of its branches. We're going to pull them away from that main stem, spread it out. I mean, this pick has so much as well. I mean, when you spread it out, look how much there is. But we're just going to we're going to go right up that main stem and trim off each piece individually, just like we did with the very first one. All right, let's cut it from the branch. As close to that main stem as you can. I am not going to use the pine cone. If you would like to save the pine cone and put it in later, you can. The problem that I have with the pine cone is there's no easy way to stick that into an arrangement, and there's only one. So I personally don't use it. But please, if you would like to use it, hold it on the side and use it when you're done. Okay, now we're going to take and separate these just the same way. We have the evergreen, typical evergreen. We have the cypress or the cedar. I really should get on my ChatGPT and find out really what that is. I have two of those. This is basically, I think this is a version of long needle pine. We have 3 of them. We have 4 of the regular evergreen. We have 2 of the cedar. And then we have 1 long needle pine. I know for sure that this is long needle pine. All right, so this is going to be our last piece. This is the one that's going to really highlight, because it's so beautifully fluffy or airy. We're going to wait for that one. We're going to put all of the other ones in the same process that we've been doing. We're going to, in this case, we're going to start with these, okay? And we're going to look on our arrangement and find the holes that we need. Now, I'm going to show you real quick. When you dip this into glue or when you glue it, you have to hold all of these little stems backwards. Pull them backwards. Because as soon as hot glue hits these needles, it curls the needle and then it'll burn your hand. So by holding it like this, okay, I'm holding all of them down. I hope you can see that. Then I'm going to dip it into the glue pot and then find a spot in my arrangement, okay? And then I have 3 of them, so I'm gonna spread them throughout. I have 1 here. I'm gonna look for a spot over on this side. Again, I'm holding all of those needles back as I dip it into my glue. If you're using a glue gun, still hold it all back, because that glue just curls these ends. However it's made, it just is amazing how fast it curls, and then it'll burn your hand. Okay, we're gonna do the last one. I have 1 here, I have 1 here, and I'm gonna put 1 in the back. And now with this greenery, this is the last of our greenery, so you're gonna need to take a good inventory of your particular arrangement, okay? There's no necessarily finding or following me exactly on this, because you're going to have different holes than I have, all right? Different placements and stuff. So all you're going to do is you're going to just methodically take and find the holes, kind of, you know, push down the leaves, whatever you need to do, and push these last ones into the hole. Finish filling up your arrangement, okay? Try to hide that foam as best you can with this again, I'm just getting glue sticks. I'm not making any, you know, signs here. Again, just spin your arrangement, just turn it around, look for those little bald spots that are in there, and tuck these little things in to fill in those spots. Okay, and if some of your greenery comes upwards, that's okay. That's very natural, actually. Just look for those spots. And just try to keep the pines, the particular types of pines, spread out throughout, so that you don't have a big clump of the same pine right next to its brother, okay? And I actually don't see any more holes that are glaring, but now I do have 1 of this particular pine. I'm looking for a hole for that. I have 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here, so I'm gonna put it out here in the front. Just going to peel back some of the pine or greenery I have in there and kind of locate a hole and then put it in. Okay? So we have 2 of these cedar bushes. These take up a lot of room, so that's pretty good. That you can, if you need to pull these little plastic ends off so that you have a better wire to embed in the foam, just pull them off, all right? And let's see, this is where you just have to really investigate your own design and find those holes. I definitely have a hole back here. Okay, so I'm going to put 1 in here. Believe me, this will fill in everything. There we go. And I don't have a glaring one, so I'm just going to put it in pull off the things. That's all I'm doing. I put that one over here. I'm going to go on this side, across the arrangement from that last one. I'm going to go into the bottom of this, hit the foam from the bottom. There we go. Okay, now here's our special piece. All right, now I am going to tell you, I'll get the finished one for you. All right. I'm going to rely on this camera over here because I think you can see it better. Unfortunately, this one right on, is not going to show you as much. Here's our angel, and I'm going to put the flower on her. As you're facing her face, it's on the left side, okay? So I have a flower to put in here. I'm going to offset that flower with this bow over here, all right? And these little, these are just auxiliary ribbon, all right? So that's how I'm gonna set up mine. You can do whatever you'd like. If you wanna put the flower in the middle or on the other side, it's up to you. It's whatever you wanna do. But I'm just showing you this because this particular frilly thing, what I'd really like to do, I'd like it to come out underneath my flower. I'd like my flower to be kind of highlighted with this particular greenery. So since my flower is going to be on, I just forgot which side. The flower is on this side of the angel, her left. So I'm going to bring this wispy long needle pine. I'm holding all the needles back so that they don't spring into action and grab my hand. I'm going to dip it in my glue, and I'm going to bring this upward. Take it in, find a piece of foam, and just have it kind of fan out. Do you see the fanning? Okay, so when I put the flower in front of it, it kind of forms a backdrop for the flower. Okay, so speaking of the flower, let's do that real quick. Let's take this flower. You're going to have to just cut off the identification. You're going to open up this flower. Make sure you can see. Take each petal one at a time. Shape the petal. All right. Take your time and push down the center if you want. Make it as large or as compact as you want. Okay. I kind of just tilt it a little forward. All right. And I'm just going to tuck it in front of that long needle pine, just to the angel, as I'm facing the angel to the left side of it, okay? Let me put this in. I didn't cut any of this off, any of the stem off, because I need to reach all the way to that foam underneath the angel's base. Okay, there it is. And then just once you have it in, kind of tuck it how you want. You can bend that stem a little. And I'm actually going to just adjust mine a little bit because I want it to sit further back, closer to that long needle pine that I put in there. So I just kind of bent the stem of my flower backwards a little, so you can see how that is. All right, and you can still see the wispy pine behind it. All right, so then the next thing that we have, let's make our bow. All right, I'm going to move the angel off camera for a minute. I'm going to grab two things from the little bag that comes with your kit. I'm going to grab a zip tie, and then I'm going to grab the wire nub. Remember I told you to cut this off from the brown stem? Okay, I included one in your kit, but now this is a secondary one that you've cut off, but this is basically the same. This white one, I got the same way. I cut it off of a stem that I used previously. But anyway, we're going to keep that on hand. And then we're going to take our ribbon. And I would like a linear bow. Okay, I want a narrow linear bow coming off this side of the angel. Okay, tilting over to offset this visually. So I'm going to offset this flower with a ribbon. And I don't want this big boofy bow, so I'm going to make what I call a linear bow. And let me show you how that's done. This linear bow is going to be 3 loops. Okay, all I'm doing is just kind of running my hand along the ribbon to get the kinks out from how it was shipped to you or packaged. All right, so I'm just taking and running my hand. This is like that old curling wire that we used to use when we'd wrap presents back in the day, and you take your scissors and run it along that ribbon, okay, and it would curl. Well, all I'm doing is just running my hand and it's straightening the wires that are in here. Okay, so let's start. We're going to take, and I pretty much want a ribbon or a tail to hang down almost to the table. So that's about this long. Okay, I've just taken this, compared it to my angel, and I've determined that that's pretty much the length of the tail that I'd like. So I'm going to start there. That is my point. Now, just for reference, again, everybody's will be different. My tail, because of how I chose to do it, is going to be 21 to 9 is 12 inches long. So 12 inches of tail, okay? And then I'm going to take this, one sec, okay. So I've got my 12-inch mark. That's what I've determined is going to be my tail. And I'm going to start my loop at that 12-inch mark, okay? I'm going to make a loop that's about 6 inches. This first loop is 6 inches, okay? And I'm measuring from this, my thumb, up to the top. That's about 6 inches. Now I'm just going to bend that wire directly on top of itself and make another loop that's slightly longer, okay? So I'm building my loops linearly. They're going to be in a line. How's that? Sorry about that. Okay, so it's just about an inch different, and I'm taking that ribbon right back down to where my thumb was before, and I'm holding them together. Okay, let's do it one more time. We want a 3-loop bow. I'm making the third loop slightly bigger than that last one, bringing that ribbon right down to where the base of all this is, all right? And now this is the only tricky part. That ribbon that's left, that really long tail that's left, just give it a twist. Just twist it while you're holding it, and then pin it under your thumb, okay? And all that twist is doing is it's turning the pretty side of the ribbon to the front. If we didn't twist it, it would have the back side facing forward. We want the pretty side, so we have to twist it. Now I'm holding all of that tightly in a little bunch right here at the base of this bow. Okay, can you see that? I'm holding it all together. All right, now I'm going to take that stem. Uh-oh, where did it go? Where did my white stem go? Here it is. This is the nub that came in the kit. All right, I'm going to put it at the back of that. I'm going to grab my zip tie and just zip tie around the ribbon, around that wire nub, that wire stick. Pull that zip tie as tight as you can. I mean, just really crank down on it. Okay? And now you have a bow on a stick. And the reason we put it on a stick is just so that we can get it into the arrangement. That's going to hit the foam. The stick is going to go into the foam. Okay, so now let's cut off our ribbon. I'm going to make this is my original tail. I'm going to make the second tail a little bit shorter. And I'm going to cut it on an angle. Just cut it on an angle. It's called a knife edge cut. All right, and I'm going to knife edge this first one as well. Just cut it on an angle. Okay, so we have our bow on a stick. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my arrangement, and if you look in the back, here's the tip of the stick. Okay, you see it right here? When I push this stick, I'm going to put my finger on the tip and that's what I'm going to push into the foam, okay? The reason you're doing that is you're just holding pretty much, the bow is, you can see, the bow is not sliding on me, but I'm not taking any precautions. I want to make sure that I'm pushing the stick into the foam. Okay, let's take it here. I don't think I need that long of a stick to get in. I'm going to trim off a little bit of this stick, not much, maybe about an inch. Then I'm going to dip my end into the glue, and I'm going to put this in just like I've done all the greenery. I'm just kind of looking for placement. I want it opposite of my angel, of the flower of my angel. I'm going to push it all the way in and then pull out the loops, okay? Kind of bring the loops down through the arrangement. Bring your tails down through the arrangement. All right, this tail here I want out in the front. This was the long one that's established our bow. And then this is the second one. That's going to go off to the side a little bit. All right, and you can see, you can separate these a little bit. And again, if you want a bigger bow, you have more, there is more ribbon. So you can do whatever you'd like. I just do a 3 loop over here. And separate out my ribbon, my loops. Okay. Can you see that? I would just kind of lightly, and I may just pull this one a little further frontwards. And this one draping down. Okay, just work with your bow. Just manipulate the until you're happy with the look. Okay, now with this extra ribbon, I'm going to make 1 loop and 2 tails, and I'm going to put it behind my flower. It's going to be a backdrop for the flower with the long needle pine, and that's why it was important that I cut off this from the first greenery stem. Okay, I can tell already I don't need that much of it. I'm going to just cut it off before I get started. Okay, so I'm going to do the same process before. I have my tail. I'm just going to make 1 loop. Okay, I'm just going to make a loop that, if I compare it to that, I just want it a little bit over the flower. So this loop ends up being 6 inches as well. Okay, should have worn a dark shirt today so you could see it better. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, this is about a 6-inch loop. I'm going to twist that one tail, that's that back tail, so that it's on the, it's facing the front, and it, you know, the pretty side is facing the front. Okay. And all I'm going to do, right in this junction where all of the loop and the tails all meet, I'm going to lay my stick. I did give you a couple of zip ties in your kit, so just grab another zip tie and zip it on. Same process. Pull it as tightly as you can. Okay, cut off the tail of the zip tie, and then I'm just going to angle cut the knife, give these ribbon edges a knife cut. Okay, and now I'm just going to place this in my arrangement, slightly behind the bow, just basically to highlight the bowl. Right slightly behind the flower. This bow is going to go just to highlight the flower, not what I was. I'm just binding the foam with that end, and then just kind of pulling my ribbon tails through. If you wanted to pull this ribbon tail upward, you see how it kind of comes up? All right, can you see that? And this end here, you may not need this long of a tail. I'm just going to cut it a little bit shorter. I don't want it to compete with the bow on the other side. This is just kind of an accent, a little flare over here by the flower. Okay. And there you have it. All right. Can you see that? All right. Now there's just a few things left to do. Let's do our finishing work. This is the fine details. This is all the little things that don't amount to much when they're laying on the board, but when you put them in your arrangement, they just make that arrangement pop. All right, so let's start with this. These little twiggies have multiple cuts on them, okay? And what you have to do is you just kind of have to separate these out. I think there are 4 pods on this when you're looking at that main stem, okay? So I'm just going to take and cut. You'll see them if you just go right up that back stem. You're cutting the thick back stem. Don't cut these pods off of the stem. You're cutting the stem itself. And then there's the last one right here. So there's 4 of them on this. And by cutting the thick stem that these are all glued to, that's giving you a really thick stem to push into the foam, okay? So you've got 2 of these. Do the same thing to both. Just kind of separate the first one. You see what I'm just separating the first one. I'm going to cut the thick stem just right above that first wiggly thing. And we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to find the next one. There's the next. We're going to cut the stem. Don't cut it off of the stem. The greenery, we were cutting off the stem. Okay? This process, we're cutting the stem. I just want to make sure that's an important point, because you need this thicker stem to push into the foam. Okay, so we have 8 pieces, all pretty much the same. A couple of them have longer stems because they were the base, they were on the bottom, but they're all the same. So you can intersperse them anywhere. You don't have to sort them or anything like that. Okay, so these are just highlights. These are just wispy little highlights that lighten up your greenery. So I'm just kind of finding little pockets and then pulling them out to give them a little life, okay? Just go around your whole arrangement. Like I said, there's 8 of them. So spread them out. Go high, go low. Go into your greenery if you need to. Now, if you're going into this real thick greenery, like right here, don't worry about getting it to the foam, because you'll see when you work with this, as soon as you stick that stem in with glue on it into the greenery, it's going to glue right to that other greenery. So if you can't get it to the foam, don't worry about it. It's not gonna ruin anything. But I'm just going around. I'm gonna make sure that I have 4 in the front half of the arrangement, so that got that one. Maybe even 5. I mean, the back is still pretty, but these little things really deserve to be in the showcase, in the front of the arrangement. So I'm going to put 1 or 2 in the back, and the other 6 I'm going to spread throughout the front, more of the frontal and the sides of the arrangement. See how it's just kind of filling in? I have 3 left, and I think I need something right here, kind of in the front. I'm going to test it before I glue it in. Now that would be too much. So let me move to the side. Here's a side, here's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. I guess I'll put it in the back of the bow, kind of shooting out of the bow in the back. Okay, and my final 2, I'm going to just put in the back. Okay, just find some spots in the back that you want to put these in. If you can hit the foam, that's great. If not, don't lose any sleep over it, because it's going to stick right to anything. It's going to jump on its neighbor, that's for sure. Okay, my last one I'm going to put over here. This one I can get to the foam, so I'm going to push it in. And then just open up the little sprays. Okay, so you can see it's a very delicate. And then if your greenery is, if you've separated your greenery, just take the time to kind of spread it back or push it back down, shape it out. Like that one, I kind of pushed the existing greenery around. All right, so that is our angel. Now we have berries. We have two sets of berries, two types of berries. We have the big set, and we have two sets of the littler ones. Okay, this one I'm going to put in the front. Okay, this is a showstopper. I want it in the front. And so I'm going to just tuck it in the front. Again, if I can get it to the foam, I'm going to. If not, let me see if I can get it. No, it did not hit the foam in this location. Oh, there, it's going to hit the foam here. There it is. There, now that one's in the foam. Okay, and all I'm doing is kind of pushing my other greenery around it. All right, and we have these two left. And I'm not going to go in the back with these. I'm going to find places in the front. I think I'm going to find a place on this side. Dipping it in, and I know that this stem on this berry is not strong enough to go into the foam, so I'm going to make sure it hits some of the greenery and adheres to that. Okay, and my last berries I'm going to put over on this side. I'm going to kind of lift the tail of the bow and stick it to that greenery there. So you see how it's spread out? You have the two on the side and then one in the middle. Now we have our twiggies, okay? And these just give a little character to the arrangement. And I don't want them coming out. I want them all to be going up. So I'm just going to stick them in the foam around my angel. This is just taking a little bit of effort. There we go. Oops. Well, this little stem doesn't know how stubborn I am. It's going to go in there whether it likes it or not. There it is. Okay. Once I got it in, that's when I stuck it up. Stuck it up. I bent it upwards. So I stuck it in this way and then just bent it up a little bit. Okay. And I don't know if these are showing up on the camera, but in person, it really adds a really unique look to it. So I'm just going to trim this one down a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. I'm going to go to the foam directly in. Once it's in, I'm going to bend it upward so it kind of comes out up in an upward angle. And this last one, I'm going to bring kind of off to the side in the front. The same process. Stick it through the greenery to the foam. Once it crunches in that foam, just bend it up a little bit. All right. Okay. And the final touch is our cardinal. Now each cardinal is different, so you have to make sure it's facing the correct way. You'll see what I mean. But in your kit, I gave you a skewer. This looks like a kind of a thick toothpick. It's beige in color. You're going to take and, poor little birdie, we're going to stick this in glue and then go right into the bird. The bird is foam. So you just kind of wiggle it. There you go. You don't have to go in deep to the bird, but you do want the bird on a stick. Okay? And then I'm going to cut down the skewer a bit. And I'm going to tuck my bird right in front. Okay? Now I'm going to take and glue the skewer, put glue on the tip, and let this skewer grab onto all of that greenery in front. Okay? You'll see kind of you have to hold it while it cools. There you go. All right, I'm I'm going to test that bird just to make sure. Yeah, I'm just pulling up on it just slightly, and you can feel that it has adhered to something, okay? And that is it. That is our entire kit. I hope you like this, and I hope it inspires you. Again, there's no right or wrong. Pretty much the principles that I would like to kind of remind you of is we took our first greenery, we cut it up into its individual pieces, we sorted those pieces, and then we put them all around the angel, around your base in an up and down fashion. Okay, some up, some on the lower part of the foam, and it gave it windows to fill in the next layer of greenery. All right, and that method is what has given you this well arranged or mixed. You know, all of the greenery is mixed. You have all of the same greenery, but it's throughout the whole arrangement, and that's the look that you would like. All right. So with that, I'd like to say thank you. Again, I would like to thank the women at Rustoleum for giving me this opportunity. I really, really enjoy teaching everybody, and I hope that this brings you joy. I wish you all wonderful holidays and a very happy new year. Thank you very much.